Hello everyone, this is Carol. I'm here today to share a couple of my creative tips with you. I have just discovered something that I am going to use in the future, and I just was kind of excited about it and wanted to share it with you. That is using rice paper, and that is the very similar thing to how we've been using our napkins. Instead, I have printed on rice paper, and this gives me the ability to match whatever I'm doing. Instead of a napkin that has to coordinate, I can match my my pages perfectly with the rice paper and decoupage it onto the page. Now this is a work in progress. I'm working on a design team project for Artie Mays, and I am using this to show you what I've done. First, I will tell you I saw a video by Gayle Agostinelli, and she was using rice paper that she had purchased already printed, and I have had this paper forever. I think I got it at a local store in my town here, and it is Japanese rice paper. It comes in, I believe it's 9.5 by 13 as far as the size. So I've had to cut it down, and I'll show you all about that in the video. But this is what I used. This has a smooth side, and this is what I have had with it cut down. It has a smooth side and kind of a rough fabric almost feel to it, and that I'm sure is the rice paper side. So what I had to do, I have wanted to learn to print on this. I just didn't have the nerve until I saw Gayle's tutorial, and I thought, well, it's possible, so I'm going to try it. So I took a plain piece of paper. First I cut the rice paper down to 8.5 by 11 so it would fit a plain piece of paper. Then I had purchased a while back sticky note spray. I believe that's a Scotch brand, and this is just great. You want to use it in a well-ventilated area. It does get a little strong, but what I did with this was spray the edges of the paper here, 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 and here, all four sides. Not sure if you can see that if I'm in frame. Then I sprayed a spray down the middle. Now, as you go along and you progress in doing this, you're going to find that you don't need quite as much. You'll probably use more the first time because you just want to be sure it's on there. Then you take the rice paper, you take the smooth side and just put it up next to, just exactly on the paper. Then I have this little tool. I got it years ago at Tuesdays. I don't even know who makes it, and I wish I had 10 of them. I'm always losing it, but I love this little tool. And I just go along all of the edges very, very carefully and down through the middle, and that will make sure that it sticks so that when you put it face down, however your printer takes it, mine is face down, I put it face down into the printer, and that way it won't clog up your printer. And that was what my big concern about printing on rice paper. I couldn't figure out how to do it until I found all of these things. This is what it looks like when it's printed out. This is one. I'm working on an Artie Mays design team project. I think I told you that. And this is how it comes out. So you have to take the paper and you just print it just like you would if you're going to print your page out, and then you just lift that carefully up. And there, mine, that didn't happen before, so I had too much. You spray this lightly because this came up a little bit, but that's okay. It doesn't matter because, and there I tore it. And that's what can happen. And you might know on film this came out perfect when I did it all by myself with no one watching. So that is what happens when we do videos. But this is, it most generally comes off really easy. like that. And then you just pull the whole paper off. And I will work on that later so I don't tear it up too much, but this is what it comes out then when you get, after you've taken it off. Now I've taken some out of here because I've used it, and I will show you in my book. But this is how it comes out, and it's very, just like a napkin. And what I like about this, I think it's easier to tear than a napkin. And I just tear it, whatever piece that I want, I just tear it out. Just, you can be, I mean, you're careful with anything, but you don't have to, it's not real tedious like a napkin would be. I don't wet mine or anything. Gayle wet hers in her video. She took her brush and just kind of went along the edge with, and then it was easier for her to tear, but she had specific sections that she wanted out. I do, but they don't need to be as precise as what that was. So I just tear the paper, and then I just tear it again wherever you want it. Now, I do not have my ink here with me, but I did go, and you can even tear it as such like that. I did go along the edges and inked the edges with my vintage photo ink just so that it would just be a little bit more old looking and giving me the vintage look that I wanted. I will show you what the process is. Here is one page that I did, and I use this glue. I love these Avery glue sticks. They're creamy and smooth, and they're permanent, and they go on, they just glide onto whatever you're using. And I just go over the back of what I'm doing on the rice paper. It goes over the rice paper very smoothly. And then I paste it or glue it to the page that I want to use it on. Then I feel better using a top coat, and there's two top coats that I like best. On this, I used Liquitex Matte Medium, and I love this for anything. I put this on all my books. The thing I like about this one is it brings out the color in whatever you're doing, I think, much more than what some of them do. Then, the other one that I use is the matte gel. This seems to be a little bit more of a matte finish and doesn't bring out the color quite like the medium does, the liquid medium. And this is more of a gel type pasty form. You can see that it's just, I've used a lot of it, but I use this a lot on anything I'm doing in my books. And I use a flat brush to go over it, and I start at the middle and I just go out. And you may get some bubbles and you can brush those out. But be careful that your brush doesn't get too dry without the medium on it, because if you do, it will not, it'll tear. It can tear the paper. Now let me show you what happened. That did happen in this. Here's another one of those. You can see that I tore a little space out of that one, and I'll tell you about that in just a moment. Here's another one. But here's the one that I tore. I accidentally let my brush get too dry, and as I was going along this edge, it tore just a little hole in there. So I just took this paper and I tore one of these flowers out, the background paper, and I just glued it with the glue, laid it over the tear, and you would never know that that happened. So there's always a way to fix a mistake when you make one in junk journaling. That's what I love about it. We can cover them up. And then, let's see, and I did this one. This is over some scrapbook paper that I used for the middle of the pages. This isn't sewn together yet. And so I just used I put some of the flowers there because I wanted to give it a little color over that black and cream. This one is a dictionary page that I put on, and then I took a little bit of this rice paper, another flower, and there was, and I just laid it right over the dictionary page and just added a little bit of interest to it. On this one, I added some lace on the edge, just to give it more interest and make it more fun. So there is that. Then you always have these scraps with when you cut it the 8.5 by 11. So I did something with those, and I made a little, you can cut it any way you want. You can rag up the edges and tear around it or whatever. And I will lay this somewhere on one of these pages and decoupage over it. Now, I will probably tear around it to make it a little more interesting, but you do the same process, glue it down with the glue stick, and then I overlay it. You probably would not have to overlay it, but I just like what it does for the color and what it does for the whole process. I use Archival Ink when I stamp. This, by the way, is a stamp that I've used. It is a Bow Bunny stamp that I found at Tuesdays not too long ago, and I thought that flower fit perfect with this theme. And I use Archival Ink because it is permanent and it won't run or whatever when you put your medium over it. I did back this with, I did my vintage photo. I have not put the medium over that yet, but even if it does run a little bit or do what the Distress Inks do, that'll be fine because it'll give me the same look that I want, but the ink shouldn't run. So that is what I have to share today, and I hope this has been something that I'm sure that I know people have used rice paper before. I have never seen anyone do it that it is printed, that they print on it. It went through my inkjet printer really well with this method that I've shown you, and so I hope you'll try it. I hope that it looks appealing to you. It certainly was to me, and it's a method that I'm going to be using, and like I said, I've not seen it. That doesn't mean that it isn't out there. I'm sure it is because, like I said, Gayle purchased hers already printed on, and so someone is doing it, but I just wanted to show you how. And I'm really excited about this process, and I hope you are too. So thank you for watching, and I will be back with some more creative tips in the future. Thank you.